What do you think happens when we die?
I know that the ones who love us will miss us.
Soon, their joy multiplied. In 1999, Jennifer was pregnant with their daughter. They were overjoyed, choosing a name for her: Ava Archer Syme Reeves. Keanu, the man who grew up without a father, was about to start his own family. He had finally found a sense of home. But that dream turned into a nightmare. On Christmas Eve of 1999, just a month before her due date, Jennifer gave birth. Their daughter, Ava, was stillborn. The devastation was absolute. The crushing weight of their shared grief was too much for their relationship to survive. Jennifer fell into a severe depression, and a few weeks later they separated, needing to navigate their all-consuming pain alone. Despite the breakup, they remained incredibly close, forever linked by a love and a loss that only they could understand. By the spring of 2001, it seemed like they were finding their way back to one another. On April 1st, they had brunch together, a sign of hope. The very next day, Jennifer Syme was driving in Los Angeles when she lost control of her Jeep, rolled the vehicle, and was killed instantly. She was only 28. 16 months after burying his daughter, Keanu Reeves now had to bury the woman he loved. He served as a pallbearer at her funeral, a haunting image of a man carrying an impossible sorrow. She was laid to rest next to their daughter, Ava. This was the tragedy that would forever alter his perspective on life. The experience of profound love, the joy of starting a family, the promise of a future. All of it was now fused with the memory of the most devastating pain imaginable. In the years that followed, Keanu Reeves retreated even further. He was single for nearly 2 decades, a long period of quiet healing. It was during this time he said the words that perfectly capture his understanding of sorrow. Grief changes shape, but it never ends. People have a misconception that you can deal with it and say, "It's gone and I'm better." They're wrong. When the people you love are gone, you're alone. In another poignant moment, when Stephen Colbert asked him what happens when we die, Keanu replied with his characteristic depth, "I know that the ones who love us will miss us." In that one sentence, he captured the essence of grief. It's the unending echo of love. This period of pain transformed him. It's no coincidence that his most famous acts of kindness became more pronounced after his tragedies. The man who had everything seemed to understand on a cellular level how fragile life is. He channeled his pain not into bitterness, but into a radical kind of empathy. His art also became an outlet. He said his personal losses were key to his portrayal of John Wick, a character whose entire journey is motivated by grief. The pain you see in John Wick's eyes is drawn from a real and enduring ache. The sad Keanu meme was a strange cultural moment, but it revealed a collective intuition. People sensed his story without knowing the details. They saw a man carrying a weight, and they embraced him for it. For almost 20 years, Keanu walked his path alone. Then, he met Alexandra Grant. Their story didn't begin with a whirlwind romance, but with friendship. An accomplished artist, she and Keanu met around 2009 and bonded over a shared love for art and books. They collaborated on 2 books together, the first titled Ode to Happiness. For years, they were just friends. Their romantic relationship grew slowly and organically, from that foundation of mutual respect. They didn't make their public debut as a couple until November 2019, holding hands on the red carpet. The world was thrilled for him. Their relationship is different. It's mature, quiet, and deeply supportive. As Grant has said, they push each other to build and create. "He's such an inspiration to me," she said. "He's so creative, he's so kind." Keanu, in his own private way, has shared small glimpses of his happiness. When asked to describe his last moment of bliss, he said, "A couple of days ago with my honey. We were in bed, we were connected, We were smiling and laughing and giggling, feeling great. It was just really nice to be together. Naturally, speculation about marriage has followed, especially when Grant has been seen wearing a prominent ring. This has fueled all sorts of rumors, but as of late 2025, neither Keanu nor Alexandra has ever confirmed an engagement or marriage. They are writing this new chapter on their own terms, guided by the lessons of a painful past. So we come back to the central question. At 60, Keanu has found a peaceful, loving partnership. So why the reluctance to marry? Now, Keanu has never made a public confession or a definitive statement that he'll never marry. But his life story might be the only confession we need. His hesitation, if it is that, isn't a rejection of Alexandra Grant or their love. It's easy to imagine it's a protective shield around the most vulnerable part of his heart. For Keanu, the ultimate acts of formal commitment, starting a family, getting married, are inextricably linked to the ultimate loss. He reached for that dream once, and it was shattered, not once, but twice. For him, a marriage certificate might not just be paper. It could be a symbol of a future that, in his experience, is terrifyingly fragile. A wedding ring might be a reminder of a love that was followed by unimaginable pain. It's a perspective born from trauma. It's a deep human fear that if he were to formally embrace that kind of commitment again, he'd be inviting that same devastating loss back into his life. What he's built with Alexandra Grant is something different, perhaps something safer. Theirs is a commitment defined by the daily practice of love and trust, not by legal documents. He seems to have chosen a path that allows him to have love without facing the institution that, for him, may be a monument to his greatest grief. The story of Keanu Reeves is a powerful lesson in resilience. It's about a man who has walked through the darkest valleys, abandonment, the loss of his best friend, and the unthinkable tragedy of losing his child and partner. And yet, he emerged with a capacity for kindness that is almost otherworldly. His relationship status isn't a final chapter of sadness, but a testament to his journey of survival. It's a deeply personal choice, made by a man who has learned how to protect his peace. He has redefined what commitment means for himself, finding a lasting love that doesn't need a traditional label. He continues to be a source of quiet inspiration, a reminder that the deepest wounds can coexist with the greatest compassion. His legacy isn't just in his films, but in the life he has lived, a life of quiet strength, radical kindness, and enduring grace. If you were moved by Keanu's story, subscribe for more inspiring stories from the lives of those who shape our world. And share your thoughts. We know him as the indestructible John Wick, an avenger fueled by grief. We know him as Neo, the cyber messiah who freed humanity from a machine-made reality. Keanu Reeves is one of Hollywood's most beloved and, at the same time, most mysterious stars. For decades, he's held a unique place in our culture, a global superstar who seems completely unfazed by his own fame, a man whose quiet kindness is just as legendary as his on-screen action scenes. He's the internet's boyfriend, a figure of almost universal admiration. Now, at 60 years old and in a loving, committed relationship with artist Alexandra Grant, fans are asking one question more than ever. Why has he never married? Why has the man who seems to embody loyalty, devotion, and a deep capacity for love never actually walked down the aisle? The answer isn't a simple choice or a casual preference. It's a heartbreaking story of loss, of a man who has faced personal tragedy so many times that the idea of marriage might be tangled up with the risk of unbearable pain. In this video, we explore the personal tragedies Keanu Reeves has endured that could explain this reluctance, a choice that may not be rooted in a lack of love, but in a surplus of grief. Before we get into the darkness that has shaped him, let's talk about the man the world thinks it knows. Keanu Reeves is a walking paradox. He's a Hollywood A-lister whose films have generated billions, yet he's more famous for moments caught by regular people, riding the subway or just sitting alone on a park bench. He's the face of the sad Keanu meme, a viral moment that, while played for laughs, seemed to tap into a truth everyone sensed. Behind that gentle smile was a quiet, profound sorrow. His reputation for kindness is the stuff of legend. Stories are everywhere about him secretly funding children's hospitals, giving up his seat on the subway, taking pay cuts so a production could afford other great actors, and treating every single person on a film set with the same deep respect. These aren't PR stunts. They're just who he is, and he's been this way for 4 decades. He moves through the cutthroat world of Hollywood with a gentleness that feels almost out of place. This mix of huge fame and genuine humility has built an aura of mystery around him. He's intensely private and rarely talks about his personal life, which only makes people more curious. At the heart of that curiosity has always been the question of love. So when he stepped onto a red carpet in 2019, hand in hand with Alexandra Grant, the world let out a collective cheer. It felt like Hollywood's last good guy had finally found his happiness. But as the years have passed and their bond has deepened, the question has changed. With love so clearly in the picture, why the apparent hesitation toward marriage? To understand that, we have to go back to the beginning, to a childhood that was fractured long before fame was ever a thought. Keanu Charles Reeves was born on September 2, 1964, in Beirut, Lebanon. His name means cool breeze over the mountains in Hawaiian, a poetic name that seems to perfectly capture his calming presence. His background is a rich mix. His mother, Patricia, is an English costume designer, and his father, Samuel, was a geologist of Chinese, Hawaiian, and European heritage. This global start was just a preview of the nomadic and unstable childhood to come. The first crack in his world appeared when he was just 3. His father, who struggled with addiction and the law, walked out on his family. The memory is distant, but Keanu once described it with a quiet, heartbreaking simplicity, recalling his father taking them to the airport, and then he was just gone. After one last visit when Keanu was 13, Samuel Reeves disappeared from his son's life for good. Raised by a single mom, Keanu's life was a blur of new cities and new faces, from Lebanon to Australia to New York and finally Toronto. This transient life meant he was always the new kid, an outsider. He attended 4 different high schools in 5 years before dropping out at 17. He's described himself as having a bit of the gypsy in me, a quality born from a life where roots were never allowed to grow very deep. Through all that instability, his anchor was his sister, Kim. Born just 2 years after him, she was his constant. Their bond was forged in a shared loneliness, a deep, protective love that would soon be tested in the most devastating way. In 1991, just as Keanu's career was taking off, Kim was diagnosed with leukemia. The disease would wage a war against her for the next decade. Without hesitating, Keanu became her primary caretaker. He put his career on hold, moved closer to her, and poured millions into her care. He later secretly started a private cancer foundation to help others. This experience showed the world who Keanu really is, a man defined not by his stardom, but by his incredible capacity for loyalty and selfless love. He had built a fortress around the people he loved, but he was about to learn that some tragedies can't be kept out. Even without a high school diploma, Keanu's drive to act was undeniable. He landed roles in films like Youngblood and the cult classic Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure that started putting him on the map. He was different, with a quiet intensity that the camera loved. It was on the set of the 1991 masterpiece, My Own Private Idaho, that his friendship with another, unique young actor River Phoenix truly solidified. They felt an immediate connection. River was hesitant to take his role in the film, so Keanu rode his motorcycle over 1,000 miles to personally deliver the script and convince him. That's the kind of friend he was. On set, they were like brothers. In a superficial Hollywood, their bond was real and deep. The campfire scene in the film, where Rivers' character vulnerably declares his love for Keanu's, is a landmark moment in cinema. And it feels real because their connection was real. But behind the scenes, a darkness was gathering. River was struggling with the pressures of fame and turned to drugs. On Halloween morning in 1993, he collapsed outside the Viper Room in Los Angeles and died from an overdose. He was just 23 years old. The news was a shockwave. For Keanu, it was a cataclysm. He lost his friend, his brother. He was filming his breakout blockbuster, Speed, when he heard the news. He didn't release a statement. He just grieved, silently, privately, completely. His co-star, Sandra Bullock, later recalled his profound and visible pain. Years later, Keanu would still struggle to speak of him in the past tense, saying, "He was a remarkable person. I miss him." The loss of River. Phoenix was the first great tragedy that split Keanu's life into a before and an after. It taught him, in the cruelest way possible, that the people you love can be snatched away in an instant. By the late 90s, Keanu Reeves was a global superstar. The Matrix was about to redefine cinema and make him a Hollywood icon. In 1998, at a party for his band, Dog Star, he met Jennifer Syme. She was a vibrant, creative spirit, and they fell deeply in love, building a quiet, private life together away from the cameras.